So I had 5 different identities all the time on which I was turning.
Explain that. I know we raised that the first time you came on
Yeah.
Catch Killers, but that blows my mind too, because it's hard enough to be yourself, but having 5 identities, and I would imagine you have to be able to slip into them, and you got to build. I think you referred to it as a legend.
Yes.
That it's all right saying you're such and such a person, but it's got to stand up to the scrutiny of being able to be checked.
Yeah. Depending on the missions, sometimes it's a light legend. And sometimes it has to be quite deep. So for each of those identities, you have to have another address, of course, another name, other social media profiles, working for a company which does exist, which you have to create, but your address has to be or look like a real address. So, for example, if someone's going to check on you, they're going to go to your address and they're going to walk around your block with a picture of you and ask the guy.
Will you go to the local cafe or something and go,
say, do you know this guy?
Yeah.
And if no one's, if everyone says, oh, I don't know this guy, then they understand that it's a bullshit address. So you have to spend a lot of time making your false identities live. You have to spend a lot of time in those areas, have a chat with the bartender, have a chat with the haircut, the barber, have a chat with all these kind of people. And you have to make sure that your mailbox in the building is not exploding, which shows that no one is coming. This kind of stuff. If someone gets into the flat where you're supposed to live, has to look like a flat where someone is living.
Again, this is a type of, this brings me back to, I just love the attention to detail of that, and it comes out in the books. But that is the type of planning. You can't just turn up and go, "Hi, I'm John Brown," and expect that'll carry you through.
Yeah, but I mean, like everyone else, especially nowadays. I mean, from the moment you give your name, everyone jump on their phone and check on on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or whatever.
Yep.
So you have to have this history on social media, and so you end up having those 5 IDs because what I was describing to you before, those phases of environment, approach, recruitment, manipulation. You can have several. You have severals in the same time. Yeah. So you have maybe 2 environment and 5 approaches and 3 recruitments and 4 manipulations in the same time.
So juggling quite a few things.
Yeah. So sometimes every morning you wake up, you become someone else. You do what you have to do, and if and at night you come back and you have to be yourself again. But sometimes it's very hard because you come back home at night and you've been so deep into your legend, into your false identity, or that at the end of the day, your real yourself becomes just an additional 6th identity. And you play the same way.
That's interesting. That's interesting. You're almost losing your own identity.
Yeah.
By being these other people.
Exactly. So you end up the same way you play the game, trying to recruit those sources because my name is Gary Jubelin and I'm a former cop and I'm hosting a podcast.
Yeah. That's my cover story. So you haven't discovered it yet.
And so you spend a few days doing like this, and to be convincing against the guy you're trying to recruit, you have to convince yourself in a way.
Yeah.
To make it sound real. And then, but you play a game, of course, an actor game. You're not yourself. But then you come back home and you have to grab your real ID. But it's so hard mentally that you just end up by playing it the same way. So you play the husband and you play the father.
Yeah, and I would imagine in the home life, they're going to pick up on that. If you're not invested in your home life, people can tell, and you can come home and you're wired up, or you're still in the headspace of a job that you've just done.
Yeah,
the family's going to pick up on it. Did DGSE, did they identify the needs for this, like counselling and professional help with this type of stuff? Did you get debriefed to?
No. So the thing is, you have some shrink in the company that you can go and talk to. But if you do so, coming back from a mission and you go and talk to one of them, this person, this doctor, won't have any other choice than to type a report saying, what happened, and maybe this guy is becoming a bit unstable.
Yeah.
Because he came to see me, and then you're going to be judged as unstable or not fit for the field anymore, and so you're going to be withdrawn from the field.
It's problematic, and I hear this type of thing so many times in policing. And when I was in homicide, we had to see a psychologist. I think it was every 6 months. But we'd go in there with the attitude, I ain't going to say nothing. Like it's,
Exactly.
How are you going? Good?
Yeah.
Any problems? No. That type of thing, because you're worried about it. And then I speak to people years down the track, and they wish they properly engaged with the professional, whether it be a psychologist, psychiatrist, or whatever, and talk through the issues.
Yeah.
So,
but, I mean, you don't want to lose your job, so you're not going to say anything. But so this mental toll is at lots of different levels. Of course, at the family level, as I was explaining, then at your own personal level as well, because you feel isolated in your own head, and you are the only one to know what you know. But also, more generally speaking, because you have to fight this or infiltrate this worst of the human being. You lose trust, generally speaking, you lose trust in everything and in the humankind. And so even when you are not working, and if you are invited to a dinner or something, you're gonna usually not be reinvited again, because you're gonna behave like a prison door.
Yeah, give nothing. Well, the character in the book, the main character in the book, Alex, that was certainly, he had issues with anyone that the wife would meet. That where did you meet this person?
Yeah.
That type of stuff. That's bringing that paranoia home.
Yeah, and you just can't you can't undo it, because you can't unsee what you've seen.
What drove you to stay in as long as you stayed and do what you did? Because it's not high financial reward. It's not like they're throwing money at you. You're working long hours. You're paying a price. What drove you to do this work?
I think it's for me personally. I have a long, military background in my family, and the defense of France in my family.
We were talking about that over a beer a while back, and it goes a long way back.
Yeah, it goes a long way back. So my ancestor, direct ancestor with the same name, was one of the main general of Napoleon. Then his son was in the military as well. Then my great-grandfather was in the First World War on a horse, cavalry, charging German tanks with a sword. And then
he's an optimist.
Yeah. My grandfather was one of the first Free French forces to join de Gaulle, and one of the rare few French people who did the D-Day in Omaha Beach.
Right.
And he was the first French person to enter the Eagle Nest in Berchtesgaden.
Wow.
And as my parents were fighting quite a bit when I was a kid, he basically raised me. So I don't know if it's coming from there. I don't know if I had this, weight on my shoulders of the lineage. But that's why I wanted the main character of the book to have the same kind of lineage. Because the main character is called Alec de Payne, and de Payne is the name of the first Grand Master of the Templar Knights. So
talk to us about that.